On today's show, I am very excited to introduce this band. Kansas City natives, Lost Stars, they are taking over the TikTok world by storm. They've shared their creative processes while developing their single "Here's to Being Single." They are truly out of this world. They write about relationships and romance in such a unique way that really hit home. I'm so excited to pick their brain today. Welcome to the show, Charlie and Damien.
Hey,
Hey, Allie, thank you so much for having us.
that was a really nice
It's a
intro.
very kind intro.
Oh my god, I'm so glad I kind of hit it on the nail there. I was
And we're
like,
out of this world.
listen, you got to play the game with the name, you know?
Well, we are called Lost Stars.
We are called Lost Stars. We love galaxies.
Awesome. Well, I mean,
Awesome.
just to kind of open up the conversation, what is the first song you guys listened to today?
Uh, Van Morrison, where it was, what was it? No Religion Today by Van Morrison was mine.
Okay, okay.
Oh, you D-Money.
I'm trying to think if I heard a song in between the time of me opening my eyes and being here right now.
Well, good morning.
Yeah.
What about last night?
Oh. No, wait. Actually, like, I think I heard, um, uh, the song by Taylor Swift.
Our song is.
No. The You Are Somebody That I Don't Know. Like,
Yeah.
my brother sent me a TikTok this morning, and it was like about like people at Christian universities are already getting engaged before the first class that they take freshman year.
Because you are somebody.
And they're and it's like in the part it's like, damn, it's only 7 a.m.
So how would you guys define Lost Stars, aesthetically, musically, in that type of way?
I think the main focus of this band duo is really just like trying to capture and like represent the full spectrum of like the human experience in a world where like sex, partying, and romance like are the only kind of music that go out there really. And so I mean obviously that's a big part of like life, but at the same time there's so much more. So what we try to do is like hit at all of these real time emotions that we're feeling throughout our life, put them into song, and then put them in the confines of like a pop song with kind of like a rock tradition underneath it. So it's just like that's what we're always trying to do. We're just
Yeah.
trying to capture things that are real, you know.
We like real. And like I think both of us grew up on rock music, but we also grew up on pop music at the same time. So we tend to aim for that. Cool. Let's try to have a little bit of that cleaner kind of polished sound,
Mhm.
but there's just always going to be a natural
Like we're still a
rock
band.
right, exactly. We're a band. So there's that energy that we try to put behind most of what we
So you
do.
probably won't hear like us releasing a song like "Sorry" by J Beebs, but like we kind of like that energy, but it's still a band. There's guitars and there's drums and you know it's like we want the sound to be something that translates to the stage, and so when you come see us live, it's like a big like almost like pop rock, pop punk energy.
Yeah,
Like even
like
though
the
we've got a
Miles
bunch of pop.
Davis quartet.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. That's
That's what I think.
that's it.
Uh-huh.
Now, how about
uh,
aesthetically? You
Cool,
said
nice colors.
we like colors. Yeah, yeah, that was part
Yeah.
of it. Things that look cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that'll do it for anyone.
Yeah.
So kind of thinking about your guys' origin stories, how did you guys both kind of grow up on music, and then get into intertwined together, and then to where we are now?
From a young age, I like remember kind of like an eclectic kind of musical experience. Like, I mean, my mom was like playing me the Beach Boys and Billy Joel and the Eagles, and my dad was playing me anything from like Black Sabbath to like Miles Davis
Yeah.
And I remember like when I was younger listening to like a lot of like Backstreet Boys and Sheryl Crow and Shania Twain and like Shaggy and like and
Yeah.
um um
You can do it.
Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth. Yeah. And I grew up with John Mellencamp was the first concert I ever went to, and
That's solid.
yeah, very very fortunate to have a little John Mellencamp in my life from an early age. And you know, car rides with my mom listening to AC/DC, and back of the car listening to like blues stuff with my dad, like George Thorogood and John Lee Hooker, and all that. And I would when I was little, I would always get like one day to play hooky for the school year, and most of the times it would have been me going with my dad to see the Kansas City Elvis parade. They had a big like Elvis festival day in downtown Kansas City where they have a whole bunch of Elvis impersonators and all this stuff, and so Elvis is the king. But then, you know, as I started getting a little older and more, you know, adolescent, preteen, started listening to like a lot of like Green Day and the Fray and the Goo Goo Dolls, and that whole shebang. So yeah,
Yeah, as
And
I
then
was getting older, I was listening to like a lot of just more emo, emotional stuff, like we all were probably. So it's like I was a huge Linkin Park fan. Um, I was listening to All American Rejects and Fall Out Boy a lot. I was getting into stuff like Eminem and Rise Against, and just I guess a bunch of like I guess I like keep all of my emotions like inside me a lot. So I guess I was listening to a lot of like people with like really intense messages to say to kind of like vicariously live through them, I guess.
yeah,
Because like when I'm thinking about it, I was like the music I make now is like much more chill than like what Eminem and Linkin Park were doing, you know.
Just a
um,
little bit.
but yeah, so I started playing piano from like the age of 5 or 6, and then around like middle school, I really fell in love with drums. So I started playing drums, and around 8th grade, I was like spending a lot of time sitting at the piano trying to write songs because I just thought that was so cool. I think like I was like filling all of my notebooks with songs, and eventually I decided to like form a rock band, and I ended up like writing music for the band, but I played drums and sang background vocals, and my twin brother was actually the lead singer. And at one point, we like lost our guitar player, and in high school, and Charlie, that's where he kind of comes into the story.
what grade were you in when you started that band?
8th grade.
8th grade was
Man.
yeah. So it's important, I think, to know Damien's was a couple grades ahead of me in school.
Mhm.
So I would have been a freshman in high school when he was a junior. And yeah, we met through like the high school pep band and jazz band stuff. And you know, I'd known, oh wow, these guys, they're in the band Evergreen. Oh my gosh. And you know, eventually, like I remember it was near the end of my first semester in high school when Damien and his brother come up to me and they're like, "Hey, you want to be guitarist in our band?" And I was like, oh my gosh, the older kids want me to play with them. Yes, yes. And it was like
And then,
cool.
little
Yeah.
beknownst to him, we were actually a bunch of losers, so it didn't make him any cooler.
Oh, it made me so cool.
Oh, that's so funny. Thinking about the concept of, I mean, I have no musical ability at all. That's why I am not on that side of things. But I I
We
can't
just
think
tell the
of.
computer to make our sounds.
Yeah.
That's true. I'm yeah.
Go ahead,
Um,
though. You interrupted.
You're fine. But the concept of me making music at 8th grade, and I was very similar. Like I started listening to Fall Out Boy when I was in 3rd grade, and like that
Right.
is not normal for a young, 8, 9 year old girl. And I got very much into like Asking Alexandria during that time, and
Oh,
like
hell
the
yeah.
band I would
Falling in
make,
reverse.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, like complete different person. And the concept of me wanting to make music that would be essentially like that at 8th grade is just a disaster. But that's awesome. Like, you guys have really had like history, and then being able to kind of bring it to where we are now. Because you guys are in Nashville, correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
so around the end of like high school days for me, I like found out I had self discovery and ended up deciding that moving to Nashville was the thing for me, and I thought I was gonna go out there and like play drums for like country artists or rock artists or something, and I was out there for 2 years, and in that time span before Charlie arrives, I kind of fall out of love with the drums and start spending more time songwriting and producing, and then Charlie kind of comes back into my life in a bigger way again because we've been apart for like 2 years.
Yeah, that was I remember when I was thinking about what do I want to do end of high school. I was planning on just going to like not just going, but like my idea was okay, cool. After high school, I'll go to a state school, probably join a frat, get a business degree or something like that. And it was talking to Damien, and that was a big thing about it, where it was, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I like playing music. And he's like, okay, well, come to Nashville and do that. And I was like, okay, yeah, that actually would be. And on top of that, being so fortunate to have supportive parents.
Yes.
Who were like,
Mhm.
well, it's going to be hard work, but if that's what you think you got to do it. So fortunate to have supportive parents. Yeah, I'm very grateful. And then after high school, found myself in Nashville and, going to school and living in a dorm room literally across the street from Damien's dorm room. And that it would start off with Damien writing songs. Hey, I wrote this song for class. Can you come over and play guitar on it? Yeah, sure, I'd love to. And then me going, hey, I'm working on writing this demo. Can I get your ears on it? Can you? And he'd be like, oh yeah, I think your drums are a little too loud. I think and try maybe changing that kick drum and put and we just started.
We would go like
Go
sneak.
ahead,
We
yeah.
would go like sneak into the music school late at night and record like their
Yeah.
instruments and stuff, like
pianos
like
at
the grand
midnight.
pianos, like freaking like xylophone and like drum kits and
Yep.
all sorts of things that we could get our hands on, and then there's like this pivotal moment for me where like I'm kind of focusing on songwriting, and I'm thinking I'm gonna write like songs for other people, maybe like I don't know, like pop, indie, maybe even country songs.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just had like this overwhelming amount of people saying, was like, well, why aren't you trying to pursue an artist career? And I was kind of like, I don't know, because that sounds like a really stupid idea.
Why would anyone want to be an artist?
I mean, like from a very logical standpoint, very impractical, and like it's like I'm already thinking about. It's like I just most recently decided I want to focus on songwriting and producing, which is like already pretty unrealistic and impractical thing to do with your life. And it's like, why don't you just go full in for entirely impractical?
Just why not? Yeah.
Full
So
send it.
eventually, I get talked into that. I'm like, and so I'm kind of like having this moment where it's like for the first time, like people are saying like, no, like you should be out in the front of the stage and you should be singing, because for so long I'm behind a drum kit or I'm behind a keyboard off to the side, So I'm like, okay, maybe I'll try this thing out. And so of course I'm asking Charlie to like come do my first couple gigs with me, and a few other guys that we were friends with at the time. And it wasn't until maybe like the second or third show we did that like the conversation started like, what if we made a band? And I was like,
Getting the
I don't
band
know,
back
God.
together.
I was like, I don't know. That sounds like a lot of responsibility, doesn't it? And maybe I was just like, I just was unsure about a lot of things. But push came to shove. I got talked into it more, and here we are.
Yeah.
And it's been a crazy ride from playing shows for nobody to playing full sold out shows to like sleeping in on concrete floors in Brooklyn to our car
Breaking
blowing
down
up
in Lebo, Kansas. The great big city of Lebo.
Yeah.
So it's been like such an up and down crazy journey, but
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious. So the music scene, obviously in Nashville, is kind of notorious, and obviously for country music. But indie pop is very much coming out of there right now.
Yeah.
How did that differ from Kansas City? Is there even a music scene in Kansas City? Like, what does that look like for you guys
There
in that
there
realm?
is,
Yeah, there is one
but
in
it looks
Kansas City.
very different. I'd say there's like maybe like honestly like 3 to 4 kind of genres that are predominant in Kansas City. So obviously we have a lot of like jazz blues tradition there. So you've got a lot of old players that are going around still playing, classic blues, classic jazz in various clubs. And me and Charlie, like, we're very fortunate to have a teacher in high school that kind of raised us in that tradition a little bit, because I think us learning blues and jazz in high school like really helped our musicianship. I think the next thing is there's this small pocket of country music. Like there's like this like hardcore decent amount of people that were really into country, and I never participated in that group. So I remember all my friends, like, when I told them I was going to Nashville.
You say there's like country artists in Kansas City?
Yeah, I mean, down in the Power and Light district, there's like several bars where they only hire country players.
I always thought that those were like touring acts that would come through there.
Maybe.
I don't know. Okay.
That people were into it.
Yeah. No, I know there's a lot of country music fans in Kansas City.
Well, it's small.
Yeah. It's small. Oh, come on.
But
apart from Green Day, Toby Keith was one of my first CDs as well.
Well, I remember going. I was like, it was small in the sense of like when I told people I was moving to Nashville, it was like, you're gonna go to Nashville with all those country hicks, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Country nights.
But and then I'd say like there's like a big rock tradition that either goes from like kind of indie alt to like hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, so, for example, like Kansas City actually has the largest one-day rock festival in America, like every year, and it's
Rockfest.
The most creative name in the world.
Yeah, they really worked hard on that.
But like every year you'd see like droves of people coming out to see like Korn and Disturbed and Metallica and Five Finger Death Punch and like Hailstorm,
the Miles Davis Quartet.
No,
the Miles Davis, yeah.
And like Guns N' Roses and Volbeat and like all these like Creed, Nickelback kind of acts, Puddle of Mud, like
Smash
all
Mouth.
of the like
Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth.
Yeah, Smash Mouth really fits in with Korn and Disturbed and Slipknot.
Yeah.
But so like there's like a huge hard rock scene in Kansas City, which is really interesting. And then the other half of it's kind of like the indie rock, like kind of people that are into stuff like the Black Keys. And, there's this band called the Mowglis that comes from Kansas City that kind of fits into that kind of, group love kind of, energy. And so they have this
Alt J.
Alt J. They got this radio station out there called 96.5 The Buzz. That's a huge proponent of that kind of music. And so they always had these huge like kind of alternative festivals and concerts.
Sad news about The Buzz.
Oh, they no longer? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now we're going to talk about it like it's a part of history. So back in the day, there was this radio station called The Buzz. And they were rad. Honestly, like
they were known for breaking a lot of artists. Like I'm pretty like
Republic Tigers and a bunch of other people.
Alt J. I think you said Group Love. I'm pretty sure they were.
I mean,
one of my favorites, Meg Myers.
But I mean, I remember
96.5 The Buzz.
I remember going to a lot of their shows, like Buzz Under the Stars and whatnot. And I'd see like Weezer and The Offspring and Manchester Orchestra and like all sorts of just more like alternative artists, MGMT, like
I saw at a Buzz Beach Ball one year. I saw AWOL Nation, and AWOL Nation's one of my favorites too. Andrew McMahon, he's dope. And,
incredible live too.
Yeah. Oh my God, Andrew McMahon. He's a freaking guy. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Any of
kind
the
of
Jack's
like
Mannequin stuff. Yeah.
the Kansas City vibe. So I mean, I like when I think about like the kind of music I was trying to make back in KC, it makes a lot of sense that like I was like everything was really inspired by things like Weezer, you know, Muse,
Yeah. You're a big Muse fan.
Linkin Park, you know, blah 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 blah. Like just more like real rock stuff. So it was like I think I kind of shocked a lot of my friends when I came out here and I started making like more straight ahead pop music. But you know, that I've always had that deep love. I mean, like if you want to know that like pop music has always been a huge part of my life, my first concert was actually Aaron Carter.
Really?
Oh,
Some
yeah.
Aaron's party up in there?
Yep, Aaron's party. I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Man.
The funny part about it was that my brother was there. I have a twin brother, and he got tired, so we left the concert early.
I think people's concerts are really funny to me because they either were like kind of older as you got into like middle school, high school, or like really young. So like my first concert was Tim McGraw, and I was
Oh,
6 years old, and like it was such like an amazing experience because I had binoculars. It was like the nosebleeds of the nosebleeds. But now I dabble in some country now, but it's not
Yeah.
primarily what I listen to by any means.
Well,
So
like, go ahead.
no, go
Well, I was gonna say, like, but like, no matter what, like, where your music journey goes, I imagine there's always a special place in your heart for Tim McGraw.
you got
know?
that right.
Yeah.
Um, that's really interesting, and I think music scenes in different cities are very interesting to kind of look at as well because, you know, by any means I'm not a musician. We've talked about that, but in DC it's a lot of hip hop and then a lot of punk, and you know, the 930 Club is notorious here for being like the punk venue, and I grew up listening primarily to hip hop and like pop punk. So like seeing that kind of reflect, and then when I moved to Florida for college, they have a huge alt scene in Orlando and like Tampa. So being like, it's really weird how I kind of adjusted with like what was in the scene, and it's definitely like broadened my horizons in that way. So it's interesting to look at, and I didn't know that rock, like real like rock, was big in Kansas in that way.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's like I don't know, like when growing up in Kansas City, if there was a hard rock song that had crossover potential, it was always on the radio. So like we got all of like the like Hinder, Seether, Nickelback, like
Shine
Down, like all those songs. Like and then we'd come like I'd come into other cities and find out like they didn't have
like,
those songs on the pop radio.
Like,
but we did.
You have no energy. That's okay.
So yeah, but it was weird. Like we did grow up in a community where like hard rock was cool, and then we came, and then you leave that community and find out that a lot of people don't feel that way.
They're
So
like Nickelback. What?
Oh man,
it's okay. I like my tastes
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad you like your taste, Charlie.
Do you like your taste?
Sure, sometimes.
How about you, Allie? Do you like your music taste?
It's questionable sometimes, honestly.
Oh.
I respect
Like, I don't like
honesty.
this song that I like.
I would like listen to
More
Hobo
like,
Johnson.
I don't
I'm like,
want
do I
people to
really
know
like
that
this?
I like this song.
Touche.
It's kind of like that whole rant on 303 you did the other day.
That's very true. Yeah. The other day, I put on like my Spotify daily mix or something, and actually no, it wasn't that. I just hit shuffle on my liked songs through Spotify, and it was in the shower, and so accessibility once you hit play is pretty limited. And so, you know, a couple songs into it, Don't Trust Me by 303 comes on, and I'm listening and I'm like, this is interesting. This is interesting to be listening to this right now. And it'd come on again a little earlier, like in the past week or so before, and I was listening through it and while I was driving, and I was like, do I want to hit skip? This is so weird. This is so I don't know if I can. And then it gets to that weird like that after the second chorus kind of breakdown section, and I'm like, oh my, this is so freaking trippy. And it's like I realized, I was like, this is a song. I was like, if one of my roommates walks by, like if Damien came home and he just like walks by the door and hears that song just blasting while I'm in the shower, what is he gonna think of me? And I got so self-conscious about 303.
Well, okay, you know how so there's these songs where if you put them on in a room, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, but they're also at the same time. There's songs that do that, but at the same time, if someone came home and found out you were listening to it alone, it might be weird, right? So it's like if you were listening to WAP by Cardi B alone, and someone came in the room, everyone would be like, what the like, but like if you turn it on at a party, everyone's like, yeah,
Everyone's
you
on,
know what I
yeah.
mean? So, like, we were kind of talking about like that 303 song kind of fits under that category with like other stuff like I don't know, like I feel like Owl City, Fireflies. Like if I came home and found somebody listening to that, I'd be like, hi, what's up?
Are you okay?
Or like My Humps by Black Eyed Peas.
Yo, that's a jam.
Like if I came home and somebody was listening to that alone, I'd be like, what the?
Yeah.
I share a wall with my brother, and sometimes like he'll play some stuff, and I'm just like, are you well today? He listens to a lot of Juice World, and I'm just like, he's okay, he's doing well today. But he does hit those like don't trust me, and I am very notorious for going on like binges of songs like that because it's like just a wormhole of like I shouldn't listen to this. I mean, you can't, but like shouldn't listen to this by myself alone in my room, just sitting here like doing work and like reading a book. Here's WAP, like.
When I was probably 8-ish, I got my first stereo, and I said Toby Keith. One of my first CDs I got with that was Toby Keith's Greatest Hits #2. The very first song on it was How Do You Like Me Now? And I would come home after school every single day, and I would crank the volume up, and I would just hit repeat on that, and I would listen to it like 10 times in a row, just dance around my room like being a rock star. And then one day, after several weeks of this, probably, my sisters open up the door and they just come barging in. They're like, how do you like me now? Like singing it. And that is when I learned that sounds travel through walls.
Just a little bit.
And that you can hear what's going on even if the door is shut outside.
Astute observation, young Charlie.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm glad you learned that. Yeah, it's
it was a valuable lesson to learn. But
I lost where I was. This was a fun conversation.
We talked about the Kansas City music scene, and you were asking about it because of the Nashville music scene, which I guess we can go back to Nashville now.
Let's
you're
back
right.
To
Everyone mistakenly thinks Nashville's just this country town, and that's all there is to it. And there's a bunch of great songwriters there, and that is a huge part of the tradition. But I will say, there's a reason they call it Music City. There's music of all forms here, and you'd be amazed how many young people in this town aspire to be more like Ariana Grande and Taylor Swift than they do Carrie Underwood's these days. So I think that's why this pop, this underground pop scene is becoming way less underground now. Yeah. So there's a lot of pop music in Nashville, and there's also a lot of this indie pop, alt pop, indie rock kind of thing going on too. I mean, I think you said it to us in an email before. You're really into Coin and stuff. Coin comes from there.
Mm-hmm.
Moon
Taxi, Judah and the Lion. So there's this indie pop rock kind of scene that's kind of emerged from Nashville as well. I mean, but there's also been a long history with pop and rock acts. I mean, Paramore got their start here.
Kings of Leon.
Black Keys now live out of here. Katy Perry was making her first career moves down to Nashville, as well as Kesha. One Republic had a lot of their early beginnings happening in this town with certain rights that they were doing. So I mean, in a way, it's I don't know. It's always been there. It's just finally the cover is being lifted, and you can really see what's going on, and it's really exciting to see where this new wave of music. I mean, we've got everything going on from singer songwriter kind of Ed Sheeran-y kind of things to straight up Post Malone, Kid Leroy, Juice World kind of trap stuff going on in this town, and everything in between. So like country music is much alive, pop music is much alive, rock, indie. Even there's even like a growing hip hop scene in this town.
It's very much a matter of, all right, well, it's not either or, it's and, you know.
Yeah.
It's all of the above.
Yeah. So
that's fascinating.
I mean, heck, there's even like a kind of an underground metal scene in this town.
Oh, absolutely.
Like one of the reps at CSAC like is a huge metalhead, and like he's like promoting this like metal scene in town, and like they have this big like Kiss tribute show every year, and a bunch of other cool things. It's like there's literally music for everyone in this town.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's a huge misconception for people who don't really pay attention to the music scene in general. Is that like, oh, it's like, you know, Dolly Parton and, you know, all of this like Jason Aldean and stuff. So like I'm glad that you guys were able to explain that very well of like it's not a one-stop shop. It's a stop and go everywhere. But I mean, kind of to wrap like COVID into that, is there anywhere you guys are like dying to play in the city, let alone the country, that you are just like waiting and itching to go to?
It's kind of a scary time, honestly, for that, because we're seeing some like really cool venues like come into question on whether they're still going to exist or not. Fortunately, I think we got confirmation that one of our like prized rock venues in town, Exit In, is still going to keep its doors open. But there was a lot of speculation and question about that recently. If like we've got so much development coming into this town right now. Like Nashville is one of the largest growing cities in the U.S., and so we've got all sorts of developers coming in wanting to make high rises and hotels and restaurants and you know, apartment complexes. And so it's kind of encroaching on some of our historic places, especially because, you know, business has been terrible because these places can't have their doors open in this pandemic. So luckily we've got some people in this community with a lot of money that care a lot about our traditions, and they're going to help keep some of these venues alive. But, you know, I'd love to go back and play at Exit In again. I'd love to play at Analog. We've had some really good, we've had some great shows at the High Watt and Mercy Lounge. At the end.
That's one of my favorites.
The End is kind of like our like CD venue that looks like kind of like a rock metal venue, and it's got like these nice like old school velvet red curtains on the side.
Red curtains. It's one of those places you walk in and it's like, well, if they have wallpaper or the walls are painted anything, I have no idea because there are so many band stickers up around it, you know, and
you're just like, you're not really sure if you want to use the restroom, but the beer is cheap as hell. You know, it's like it's a vibe.
It's a good time.
It's loud as hell in there. It's great.
Yeah. Those are my favorite type. There's one here in Baltimore called Auto Bar, and I had never been. Yeah. And I saw All Time Low there right before the world shut down, and it was my first time seeing a show there, and I think I smelled like 1990 in there. Like that's what it was. Like I could touch and I would like be taken back to like 20 years before now because it was just there was so much character, and I think those are the best. And you know, hopefully all of them are able to somehow come out of this either unscathed or, you know, still pushing. And the music scene is so important in so many cities, let alone Nashville. But let's kind of
every town has theirs.
Yeah, and
hopefully still, you know, I mean, like so many. That's the saddest part about this year. You know?
Yeah,
absolutely. So I want to kind of get into TikTok because that in the last couple months or so for you guys has been insane. I kind of wrote down some numbers if I can share numbers, if that doesn't freak you guys out or make you go into an existential crisis. So there were two really big ones that kind of popped off for the process of like, we wrote a song about like being single and like kind of embracing that. One of them has 2.3 million views and the other has 1.8 million. What is your reaction to that alone?
It's just geeshy. It's crazy. It's wild. It's so such a surreal kind of feeling to be going through it. But at the same time, we've been living in this town for 6, 7 years, 8, 9 for Damien, I think. And I don't know, it's wild because there's always going to be some kind of new fad going on, and right now that's this little app on your phone called TikTok, and we're happy to be a part of, like, oh cool, we've caught a little bit of lightning on it,
Yeah.
and yeah, happy for it, and we'd done a pretty, had a handful of videos before then, and
They were all right,
yeah, but just I don't know, the way
it kind of felt like everything was leading up to this moment, though, in a way, because I mean, like, we've been putting in years into this project and like had our ups and downs, like a lot of ups and downs, and like right at the time we decided to make this video, it was very much on a whim. We were both going through some very personal drama together, and we were just kind of like depressed, honestly. And I was just like, we just gotta pick ourselves up. We just gotta keep going. We just gotta do something.
and just yeah, Damien came up, he came on a Tuesday and was like, hey, let's just go out in the backyard. Let's just sing a song. Oh, what should we do? Oh, we wrote that song, Here's to Being Single, a couple months ago. Let's do that one. And then we posted it
pick
that
one of our
night.
songs.
Yeah.
We just posted it, like, and like, insane. Like, it just, like, took off instantly. It was honestly, like, it was something that we really needed at the moment, because it was just, like, it just felt like there was, like, not a lot of light in our lives at the moment that we were going through that, and to see that something that we created just in hopes to put maybe a smile on one or two faces in the room ended up lighting up over 1 million is just unbelievable. And then the cascade of that, like, I was remembering at the time, I was like, well, this is probably the only video that's gonna do this well, and like at the time it had like 1 million views. And then I was like, well, let's just see what we got. So we did a follow-up video where we're like, all right, we're gonna go produce it, and that like got like, I don't know, like 500,000 streams pretty quickly, or streams, views. And I was like, wow, that was good. And we did a couple, and then the announcement video was just like, oh shoot, like this is real, like, and that was crazy how that one blew up even more than the actual video of us playing the song, which told me, I was like, Charlie, like, people are going to listen to this song when it comes out.
It was wild. The day that it was released, it comes out at 11 p.m. the night before, because it's midnight East Coast time, America, 11 p.m. Central. And I'd come home from work at probably 11:45 or 11:46. I remember that. And Damien, he asked me, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's live, and I listened to it on the drive home. And Damien asked me, he goes, hey, you know what song's been out for 46 minutes? I'm like, I don't know what. And he goes, look at how many views it has, and it had the most listens we'd ever gotten before, which was, at that time, it was like 1,020 listens within 46 minutes and of it being live. And like, oh wow, this is really cool. Yeah, I was like, we broke my goal of 10 already. So
I mean, I remember on previous songs that we released, we were just like, would hustle to try to just spread the word, and would hope that we could get over 1,000 listens on the first day. And like the fact that we broke 18K in one day was just like, it was just like jaw dropping, honestly. Yeah,
absolutely. And the way that, sorry, go ahead.
I said we're so fortunate for it.
Oh, I mean, so I like to tell everybody who I have on the show how I found them, and generally you know, it's normally word of ear, stuff like that. But I found you guys on TikTok and it was that video. And then I went into a wormhole of like listening to everything you guys had already done. Because that's just how I take in music is like if I like one song, I'm gonna listen to everything and just kind of like get a feel.
That's
Um,
dope.
and
But people don't do that.
it just you know just the crazy things I do.
We
And
love it.
good, I'm glad. But like you guys write like real, like I don't know how else to describe it. It's like it's real. Like I I wrote down which song it is. I'm gonna forget because I have the memory of a goldfish. Okay, yeah. So all I know is like that song. I listened to it and I was like, get out of my head. Like scarily get out of my head because that was the whole thing that happened. And then I'm like digging through like more of your guys' stuff and then enough on the piano version is like wow. And like I don't have any other words other than wow because I think it's so incredible and it's so good. And I mean the regular version is great, but I like really resonate with the piano version. And a lot of musicians are kind of on the edge of like, do I join TikTok? Do I, you know, kind of bypass that and just go my own route? And like the way that you guys have embraced it and like really grown from there is just kind of amazing. And like, were you guys hesitant at first when you started like getting on
Oh,
there?
We
yeah.
honestly were. Yeah, we were.
There
We've
was
been
lots of pushback on that for a while, and I think it just came down to a point where it's just like I think there's like, especially if you grow up in a rock tradition, I think there's a lot of ego that comes with that. That like I still find myself like trying to get over year after year. Like I remember when I used to be like, no, I don't want to write songs with other people. That's lame. Everything needs to come from my brain. And I'd like remember that huge meme that was all going around like Baby by Justin Bieber, written by 8 people, Bohemian Rhapsody, one man. And like that kind of stuff and you know like and you kind of get like this nostalgia for like no, you just go on tour, you know, play a bunch of awesome shows, and then someone discovers you for being talented, not for being some social media influencer, you know. But like, it's like the game's changing all the time, you know. Like people don't just play shows in a bar in the '70s anymore, and some dude from a label's like, "I think you guys have potential. I'm gonna sign you," and then there's like years of development. You find out that you're actually not that good at the bass guitar and you have to like spend hours and hours in the studio and then finally they like debut you to the world and you're like REO Speedwagon or something. It's like
yeah.
now it's like you know people you know it's like I don't know, it's kind of dumb when I think about it of like why we were so hesitant. I mean like you know, it was like before TikTok, it was Vine. Like people were literally getting deals through Vine, people were getting deals through YouTube, people were getting deals through MySpace. It's like I think the easy thing to do when you're musicians is have ego that tells you you don't want to conform to anything and you want to stay true to the art, man. But like, you know, the music industry is an industry and industry implies business and if you lose sight of the fact that you are creating a product to share with listeners worldwide, then you're missing the point. I mean, so many people uh, will never break that next stage because they can't see that. And I think we love to kind of praise and chase after the outliers that like accidentally blow up. Like we romanticize that. Like I remember in college, like someone was always telling me like, no, we don't want to try too hard on social media. It's got to be like Wolfpack. They just posted a video on YouTube randomly one day and it blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what happened to us, but like, you know, there's a lot of stuff that went into it before that, you know?
Right.
So I guess, you know, big picture, like TikTok is definitely worth diving into if you want to have a music career because, you know, not gonna lie, like everyone from publishing to labels to managers, like that's where they're scouting for talent right now because there's just no live shows.
Today, at least.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
hope.
Who
Yeah.
knows where it'll be in
And yeah, who knows
even
what'll
a
be next?
month.
You gotta
Right.
you gotta learn to adapt. You know,
Right.
I mean, it's like crazy to think about like what things used to be like mainstream and necessary, and like just 10 years ago and aren't. Like, I guarantee that none of the three of us use Facebook the way we used to. You know.
Charlie Holden is bored.
I was gonna say like Allie Crump is doing an interview right now. So are you guys
Is-
fully
I-
independent right now?
Yes.
Wow. How is that? Because I mean, alone, like, assuming, and I don't really know how it works, like, as a band. I know, like, if an influencer gets big on, TikTok, they get, like, emails from all these companies. Like, have you guys had to deal with that? And has it been kind of hard? You guys do have day jobs, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
How has that been
Unfortunately.
kind of managing that?
Having day jobs is humbling. It reminds us that we are still regular people. Even though it'd be rad to stop doing the day jobs so we could do music all the time. And yeah, it is hard. It's honestly it's hard because it's like you're tackling just trying to make badass songs in the first place and record them right. Then you got
Badass.
you trying. Badass. Then you got to figure out how to package it so it looks cool. So your art, your photo shoots, your aesthetic, music videos, how your
How do
social
we get
media
it
looks.
seen by people?
Right. So then your marketing, and like, how are we pushing it? Like, is it through TikTok? Is it through like Instagram stories? Is it through like advertisements? Are we reaching out to playlisters to put our songs on their YouTube channel or on their Spotify playlist? And then like at the same time, yeah, we get emails and like it's hard to keep up with that stuff, and it's hard to navigate like who's there to try to get like a quick buck out of you, or who genuinely cares about what you're doing, or like if an opportunity is even worth time. And I guess it's just like, no, it's not easy. It's the short answer. But it's what we do. We've been kind of independent for the past year and a half, 2 years now. We've had a couple of managers over time, but we kind of discovered that like this project works best for now as us just running it.
Yeah. And we've got friends in the industry who help us out so much. We absolutely cannot do this just with the two
we're not
of us solely.
alone,
Yeah.
but we don't have anyone like directly involved that's like officially a piece of this project. So
Like,
Do you guys want to play a quick game where I force you to make quick picks on random songs?
I would love
Charlie's
that.
gonna be really good at this game.
So I already picked
I already
mine.
know.
I already picked mine because I have the worst indecisiveness. So if I had to do it alone, so we're gonna put you guys on pressure. So the first one is you're at a bus stop in the pouring rain, and what song is playing? I picked Pluto Projector by Rex Orange County.
Because you had a bad day. You sing a sad song. Turn it around.
Incredible.
Is it so weird? I was honestly thinking of that, and I was like, no, that's too obvious.
Well, no, first you just think.
First
just
one.
go.
I was just okay. The first one I was thinking, you began to wonder why you came. Where did I go wrong? I lost a friend. It's like,
Oh, I thought you were gonna keep going.
I can if you want.
That's okay.
Just like the quintessential like early 2000s like sad movie. Like
Yeah,
the
kind of.
rain puddle
It's the
flashes
bus
at you.
stop because there's this
The Charlie Brown Walk Away sad song.
Awesome. And then, okay, so the second one is you guys are at a roller skating rink. You're doing great. You got great balance. And then some crazy kid just knocks you off your feet. What song is playing? And I came up with The Real Slim Shady because that just feels like a roller skating rink song.
2 times spin around that track.
Never gonna happen like that, cause I ain't no holla back girl.
It'd be a tie between that and
Damn it,
Fergalicious.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's definitely a roller skate. Like,
Let's groove tonight.
There
that's a
we
good-
go.
More like classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But then they push you off. Someone comes up and knocks you over. So then it gets into like, I go into like, boom light, boom, like Diamond Eyes by Shinedown.
I just like honestly I have so much nostalgia for like the skating rink. So like the things that I think about are like
That's the way. I like it.
Not like no, like I went to like the kids skating rink, so they
So
never
did I,
played.
yeah.
Skate City.
Yeah, not like the classic like 70s like disco skating
Like
stuff.
Chris Brown Wall to Wall was a big one. Every
And,
skate
like,
night
like,
they
a bunch
played
of
that.
weird stuff. Like I'd be like roller skating to like Crazy Frog.
Yeah.
Do you know exactly what and like
You just like opened up a memory in my head that I like have put behind me for so long.
right. And then there's like like in like I remember, like Ponder Replay by Rihanna
Yeah.
and stuff like
Absolutely.
that. Like a lot of that was like kind of music. It was like that early 2000s pop / like techno. Like
Yeah.
I just remember. I also remember roller skating a lot too. I'm blue, da dee da. Like
Yeah.
Every Time We Touch by Cascada.
yep,
Oh,
yep.
That one.
Every time we touch, I
And then
can't.
just like going as fast as you can.
That song goes hard, honestly.
that
It
song
really
makes me think
does.
of Dance Dance Revolution.
Ooh,
DDR
yeah.
Max 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And oh man.
Yeah.
I,
the whole
I remember
playlist.
there was like they had
Next
that like
one- oh.
Hall of the Pumpkin King like techno remix like dun 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 dun
Oh.
dun 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 dun.
Hall of Pumpkin King, Hall of the Mountain
Or Hall of the
Lion.
Mountain King. Sorry.
Yeah, I know it. Like literally, I think we need to make a playlist
Green
that's just
Green.
all like early 2000s roller skating
Green Green.
nostalgia.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I have one more.
Like-
You're on the way home from a date with the person, and it went terribly. What song are you playing? I picked "Typical Story" by Hobo Johnson.
That's a good song.
It's a
I
great
like
song.
that song.
Big fan of Hobo.
My first one was "How Do You Like Me Now?" Now that I'm on my way.
It all comes back.
You still think I'm crazy? Standing
Standing
here
here
today. Couldn't make you love me, but I always dreamed about
So,
living in your radio.
Can I ask a
How do
question?
you like me now?
Can I ask you a question?
When
Yeah.
I feel
I just
Okay,
wanted to hear "How Do You Like Me Now" just like full through, but like ask your question.
I can do it.
I got to know before I answer this question. Is it like, oh, this is awkward. I turned on the radio and this was what was playing, or I had to pick this song to cut all the silence?
You had to pick the song to cut the silence because
Okay.
it went so terribly.
Oh,
Shit.
that changes things. If I had to pick it, mine probably would have been "Into the Mystic" by Van Morrison, because that's my go-to. Oh, I'm feeling anxious and worked up. I need to listen to a song to calm me down. That's my go-to for that. Go
Man,
ahead.
that's so weird. I probably would have just hit shuffle because I was just like, fuck, just turn
Universe,
something
play
on.
something.
Like, please just make the silence
Yeah.
end. Shoot. I guess
Do shuffle and whatever like do it right
Yeah.
now.
Let the
And-
universe pick.
Let the universe
let
pick
the
your
universe
song.
pick.
Like song.
It's
We're
gonna be
gonna- we're
"Here's to
gonna
Being
find out.
Single."
No, it's not going to be Here's the Being Single. That would be really awkward. I'm not that funny. I'm not that funny that I would like go on a really bad date and then play that song. But
Here's to Being Single. Oh, sorry.
but that would be hilarious. So if that's our new recommendation for anyone who's listening today.
gee.
If anyone is going on a bad date and you have to drive them home, try playing Here's to Being Single. Maybe
Or
you'll
just like
get-
don't drive in the same car. That could also help. But
I mean, that
for this scenario,
I mean, this is already a scary scenario. So, all right, we're gonna hit shuffle. That's so bad.
the
Senorita.
universe is like, no, this is gonna work out. You're gonna play Senorita.
I
Yeah.
feel like this would come on
That's
the
what it is,
radio,
yeah.
and I'd be like, but it'd be like really weird if like you hit like the next channel. You just gotta act like it's cool, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh no, we're gonna play this really sensual, sexy song.
Yeah.
Like that would happen, honestly.
Well, thanks for playing along. I love to do this because I feel like everybody has like such varying like music tastes. So like hearing the first song that comes to people's head is really funny to me.
Yeah.
So I have one final question for you guys. It's kind of a larger question. So musicians have the ability and the platform to leave marks on the world. Is there anything in particular, smaller or larger, that you guys want to do to leave your mark as a band?
Honestly, like I've honestly been like talking about this for a long time, but like once we have the right platform, I'd really like to do some more active work and providing changes to communities. So like one thing I'd really like to do at some point is like create some kind of like fund or like do some sort of benefit concerts to help develop music programs in certain cities that just lack the funding for that, because I feel like music changes lives.
Yeah.
And really just like allowing young people to have that creative outlet. I don't know. I just think about how much that helped me like still be alive to this moment today, and I'd love to make sure that other people had that opportunity. in that community. Um,
Yeah.
that's a big important thing to me. Also, like I'd really like to get involved in mental health awareness um, and just helping individuals that are kind of like from displaced places or coming from abusive situations. And so, like honestly, like at a certain point when things like get to where I want them to be, I'd love to get more actively involved with that.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, for me, I think of I learned from Mother Teresa to try to every person I meet, I want them to walk away feeling better, having a better life, and it might be a little egotistical for me to be thinking, oh, I want to make every person's life better, but I do I want to leave people feeling okay, yeah, after we talked, I feel a little happier, I feel a little better. And the platform of music, if someone hears a song that I put out there and they say, oh, that made me dance a little bit, I tap my foot, cool, I like that. If it's we put out a song where we're talking about like, okay, I'm getting my breakup out there, this is me, I said those words, yep, and someone goes, oh wow, someone else went through that same thing that I did, I feel a little better, I feel a little more understood. So anytime that happens in the world, I get get joy, get contentment out of it. I don't think there's a real way to track that, and but that's the goal for me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Talk about a mic drop. That's awesome. And thank you guys so much for coming on today.
Of course.
Hopefully this was an all access pass to your new favorite artist, Damien Charlie Lost Stars. Thank you.
Of course. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.